Hello, my name is Luke Heyman, and today I'll be talking about something that I've just come across and seems quite life-changing for me. So I was studying Lauren Zander's life and her studies and her book and just listening to her podcast, trying to figure out her personality type kind of thing, and it's a great way for me to learn about new people. Through this, she started talking about epigenetics. Now, if you already know about this, then that's really cool. I didn't know about it, and what it basically says is that epigenetics is you kind of inherit your parents' behaviors. So if your parents were cheaters, then you're likely going to end up as a cheater. If your parents had a lot of marriages, then you're probably going to be stuck in some situation, etc., right? It's important to uncover, therefore, the behaviors that you're inheriting from your parents and step away from those and try to kind of go for a new style of living and not get trapped in the same kind of tidal waves as they are. So you can see this in two ways. You can see it from the kind of 40-year-old perspective that your marriage is probably sucking because of parent behaviors about your parents, and so you have to decompose that to figure out and actually make yourself happy, and then at that point either move on or it's you fix yourself and you were the problem and it works now. But because I'm younger, I'm 20, I turned 20 the other day, because I'm 20, I'm looking at it from a very different perspective. And by the way, I think I'm going to actually turn this channel towards youth and kind of university kind of self-growth, because I feel like this is the most important age for this. Anyways, what we can learn from epigenetics and that our behaviors will have influence on our children is that if we take charge of our behaviors now, then we are influencing the behaviors of our children. If we decide that drinking alcohol today makes us happy, then we're kind of bringing the same behavior for our children. So we have to kind of look at ourselves and our attitude and be like, is this the kind of attitude I would like my child to have at this age? And fix that. So, I don't know. I'm personally not a big party guy. I don't really do any substances. So I'm kind of good on that front. And overall, I'm pretty proud of how I've developed. But, obviously, with my kind of past video game addiction to a certain extent, I could be worried about that issue with my children. In any case, we're not here to talk about necessarily me or whatever. What's more important is that we can really define today who we are and change our behaviors to really maximize the next generations. At this point, it's more like, who do we care more about? Do we care about having fun right now and at the detriment of our children, or do we care about our children's future? But at the same time, if we're sacrificing our happiness for our children's future, then we might just be sad our whole lives trying to be people we don't want to be, and they would end up doing the same. So it's kind of a controversial behavior. Through this logic, what we should find is a healthy way to be happy. And if we find that healthy way to be happy, then we will influence that onto our children. Also, a big thing with marriages and children bringing up, etc., is a happy marriage. Like, I came from a happy marriage. My parents are both happily married. They love each other, and I was lucky enough to receive some of that love. I don't have such a big love issue today, like a daddy issue, classic we would see. but some people do. Most marriages fail because ultimately we are not really happy in the start, and like Lauren Zander actually says that when people who get divorced, they already know why they're going to get divorced while they're walking down the aisle. Like they already know the problems are going to come. They're just hoping or whatever, and in the end, that's what breaks. From that logic, we gotta fix ourselves and fix kind of everything and deal with and come clean, ask the hard questions, have the hard conversations before it gets to a certain stage. One thing that I saw stereotypically as what an INTJ and personality type will teach you is that you are in charge of your own life. All the consequences in your life come from you. Now, having typed myself as that MBTI type, I see myself doing that a lot in terms of like constantly playing out an event if I do something. For example, I'll start walking out this room and I kind of know the different consequences that could happen. And so that's a reason why IJs could kind of be scared of leaving the room, the house, etc. This is a complete tangent. But it is important to know that we can influence our future, and that everything we do right now is kind of a build-up towards the future. For me, I was super worried last summer because I kind of saw myself as being an unproductive person and all this kind of stuff, and changing who I am today and really kind of like angling my direction to not take kind of the dirt route but take like the highway to happiness kind of thing is important. And not only now am I learning that I'm not only influencing myself, and that's super important for me to keep myself accountable to myself, to actually follow my morals, to not just move them out of the way when someone comes and says that their value is better just because it's someone else and I don't trust myself enough or something like that. I'm realizing that I've really got to fix this because it's not only me that is changing, it's also a future wife and most importantly children that I wouldn't want unloading the same baggage that I have. This might get deep, so be ready. I have a bad history with suicide. Not me personally, but in my family, I've had a grandpa that I've never met and a uncle who took his life. That is a short version of that. But I have kind of, a while ago, really told myself, I know the pain it causes from other people taking their life around me. And I know that I don't want that pain for others. And so therefore, I'm going to adopt a mindset that I will always see there is a solution in life. There's always actually a solution. That you're never stuck. You're just in a loop and you're ready to get up. I've dealt with that baggage in a way where it's more I've seen it come to me and I've decided that it stops here. In my opinion, it's a better way of stopping it than Henry Rollins. Henry Rollins is like, my dad was an angry f***, I'm an angry f, and therefore I'm just going to stop procreating so that my line dies here, which in my opinion is a shame. Although you gotta argue that with like population decline, rising, it's good for people to stop procreating. I think now this talk is just going all over the place, and that's okay. I think sometimes, from what I've seen, the problem with procreation doesn't come from kind of rich, wealthy, and smart families. Not necessarily all of them, just one of them maybe. Or the better say, educated families. Uneducated families procreate more for, I don't want to start saying reasons because I feel like this video could get in a lot of trouble, but therefore Henry Rollins, being kind of a successful, ultimately also a very angry person, he can also take his life into his own hands and kind of just build from there and not be afraid to procreate. The work we do on ourselves today is very important, especially if you're a student watching this. I'm sure you're having a great time. I'm sure, you enjoy your alcohol, you enjoy whatever. But also have a look at yourself and really fix within, so that in the future you're free. You're not held back. You are not guided by the interior crap inside you that's kind of knocking you certain directions. You've got to free yourself. If you want to be who you want to be, you can't start. You've got to stop being who your parents have been. You've got to stop being who your family has been. You've got to stop being who society thinks you are and has defined you as. If you define yourself somehow else, then do that. I was sick of being defined as this kind of depressed, partially, and kind of just goofy kid. Like, I wanted people to see my intellect, and therefore I started doing these videos and really like, hey, I'm not gonna hide my identity anymore. I'm not gonna stop myself from having interesting conversations with you just because I think you prefer football over deep talk. Now, if you want to talk about football and I couldn't give a shit, and I want to talk about personality stuff and kind of get to the core of who you are as a person, I'm not going to stop myself from doing that anymore. Unless it's a very small conversation, short thing, and it's kind of like, hey, I'll just do small talk with you for half a second, and then, oh, wait, here, oh, sorry, my friend, yeah, I'll be right back, okay, see ya, man. Oh, you sure? Yeah, yes, okay, bye, and then never talk to them again. You're probably wondering why you're watching this video, because it's a trip, and I'm taking you from Alaska to Greenland. That's actually not that far. I'm going to re-say that one. From Alaska to, like, Australia, passing through Brazil and Azerbaijan. Lauren Zander is a very impressive woman. As a life coach, she kind of has an interesting perspective on things, especially as a life coach who's kind of seen so many big, like, rich, fancy people, and she's still talking about their problems. And it's reassuring to see that, like, these rich people are not necessarily happy. Like, money doesn't equal happiness, and I think we all know that, but it's nice to see some kind of, like, proof sometimes, and that realistically, it doesn't matter how much we change our environment. It's all about who we are. Like, a lot of people will complain about just, like, like they had a bad marriage with this person, and then they had a bad marriage with this person, and a bad marriage with this person. And they're like, oh my god, why am I only falling on bad women or, like, having bad marriages? It's like, well, let me think of the one variable connecting all of it. Oh wait, it's you! Why are you attracting these people? Why are you doing that? I found myself, for a while, attracted to people who are not happy with themselves, who have low confidence, and I kind of come in and try to save their life. And it took me a few relationships and many years to actually figure this out, that I was doing this, and to see that it's probably due to a lack of self-confidence, self-love, something like that. And therefore, if I want to start attracting people who will help me as much as I help them, kind of deal, then I'd be in a much better situation. And so I've got to work right now. I've got to stay single. I've got to stay single, work on myself, love myself, create the best version of myself before I can kind of just, like, look around and be like, hey, would you like to marry me? That's not how it's going to go. But that's the way it's kind of playing out for me right now. I'm really fixing myself so that when I get into something serious, when I, let's say, start procreating, shit like that, I'll actually be able to help others. Because as the plain example, I've put my mask on before I put the mask on someone else. And therefore I am safe and I'm able to help everyone around me, which is what I ultimately want to do. That's ultimately why I want to get to kind of a high position to the top of a pyramid, to access the most amount of people and not just help one-on-one or stuff like that. I do want to have an impact on the world. I think I'm pretty lucky to be to be 20 years old and have this kind of mindset. I've had a few people come to me, whether it be online or in a plane, or just talk to me, and just, these guys are maybe 30 plus, 40 plus, 60 plus, and they're telling me how they're impressed about my mindset. And it kind of never really sunk in until my birthday. Until my birthday was a few days ago, and I turned 20, and I suddenly realized, like, I've actually come pretty far. Now, being a precocious kid, it makes sense to a certain extent. And because I'm super developed in this area, I'm also undeveloped in different areas. I've got a lot of areas which I'm very underdeveloped in, and at the expense of having this kind of mindset and constantly thinking about deep talk. And it kind of creates a barrier to a certain extent between me and people who like just kind of regular small talk. But I'm very glad to actually have this kind of mindset, to be able to kind of face the world with the confidence and kind of mindset that I am in charge of my own destiny. And if I decide that I'm going to run the world, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And no one can stop me. And I know I have to put a lot of work right now, because the more I grow right now, the more I'll be able to plow through. But at the same time, that comes at the expense of me not living in the moment, not kind of enjoying the moment and being happy now. I'm kind of just preparing for a long future. Now, what is the right answer? What are you actually meant to do? It's probably a balance. It's probably doing a mix of having fun in the moment, growing and stuff like that, and living in the future by preparing yourself in the moment. But I think both are intertwined. I think that self-growth is actually a discovery to find yourself. And discovering yourself, to discover yourself, you have to go through hardships, you have to expose yourself to new experiences, and therefore you can figure out what's fun to you or not, what you enjoy, what you don't. And you can continue like that. Self-growth, a mindset, and changing your behavior for the sake of your future, yourself, your marriage, and your kids, especially your kids, because that's how I started, and really influencing how they have a positive life and shaping your life currently to form who they want. I mean, I want to say you're selfish if you care more about your happiness now than your future kids, but at the same time, I really do understand. And our happiness is a kind of a priority, and we're not even guaranteed to have kids, and we're not even guaranteed to wake up tomorrow. And so I understand that having fun today is also a great way of living life. Just don't make sure you do like Steve Harvey and wake up and you're 50 and you're like, wait, I've kind of ruined 30 years of my life just trying to have fun, and I now realize I actually want something serious, and it's too late. This was Deep Talks with Luke. If you like this kind of video, let me know. I'm going to try to be making more. This is very random and kind of taken all over the place. No, I am not high, and I'll see you next time.